staff at this church, you should lead the way. People should be following you as you follow Christ. And I hope that you have seen from myself, from the elders, from the staff, that you see us, we're not someones that just sit back and say, do this, do that, do this, do that. We are in this together, and what we see all God's people at work. Because see, sometimes in some corporations, in some churches, you see people sitting high, and they forget about the people that are actually doing the work. And you see this transition now in chapter 3. It no longer talks about him, now it talks about we. And when you're on this tour, you see God's people at work. And you see God's people at work alongside the leaders, the spiritual leaders, the priest. They kick the thing off. When he takes us on this tour, those are the first people that we see. We see the priest and the leaders. And here's the other thing that you see on this tour is you see all hands on deck. Everybody plays a part in a God-sized opportunity. Everybody has a part. There is no sideline. From the smallest, this was a great example. Did you see the ushers today? Did you see them? We are teaching our kids how to serve early. All hands on deck. If we're going to do this together, it's going to take all hands on deck. And here's the other thing that I see and that I hope you see on this tour, and that you take this into consideration as we move forward. That when you're involved in a God-sized opportunity, when you're involved in a God-sized project, please hear this. You can't do it alone. I know you're smart. I know you studied. I know you know systematic theology. I know that you came from some of the most prestigious Baptist schools in the area. I know all of that. But can I tell you this? If you're doing something that's a God-sized project, you cannot do it alone. You can't take them on by yourself. And so as I was looking at this text with some fresh eyes, and I see us on this tour. And what Nehemiah is doing is he's showing us what's possible. And he's showing us what can happen when we unite together. And so here's the second thing I see is that while we're on tour and we see God's people at work, we also see community collaboration. Community collaboration. What do you mean? Look at verse number 2. And I told you, as you read this, I'm not going to get through all 32 verses of this, but as you read this on your own, every time you see this phrase, highlight it and circle it. It says, and next to him. You see, you're on this tour and you see the wall is broken down. The gates have been burned. But what you see now is you see people building beside each other. Next to him, and next to him, and next to him. But what you also see is, as you continue to read this text, you see people from all different backgrounds, from different parts, that play different parts, you see them working next to each other in community collaboration. And if we're going to do what God has called us to do, we're going to have to collaborate as a community. No longer can we come to church to get what we can get. Have you ever thought about this novel idea? This is just a novel idea. I mean, it just came to me. What about instead of coming to church to get, have you ever came to church to give? You know, people are always saying, well, you know, I just wasn't being fed over there. Well, you know, I mean, we weren't getting what we needed. Have you thought about giving what somebody else needs? Do you think that God took you through what he took you through only for you? There are some people in this church right now that are struggling, that are suffering because they don't have anybody to talk to because you're coming to get, and we need more people to stand up and give. We need to do away with this foolishness of, I don't want people to know my business. You don't have no business. It's God's business anyway. And you don't know who you're going to help. But when we have this consumer mentality in church, it inhibits us from building community collaboration. And you see this all throughout chapter 3, next to him and next to them. But then the other thing that I see is that collaboration is a family affair. As I'm going on this tour, I see families working together. The text says in verse number 12, it says, and next to him, Shalom, the son of, I'm not going to even try, the official of half the district of Jerusalem, catch this, made repairs. Who? He and his what? His daughters. Collaboration is a family affair. And I thank God that God has blessed us and families are starting to come and hopefully we are able to pour into them and hopefully they see that this is a place to where it's a family affair. That we're all in this together. Everybody works. But as we're walking on this tour, seeing what's possible, seeing our potential, as we look at the walls being rebuilt, here's something that I really want us to understand as a church. And it gets us, and in our staff meetings, sometimes I have to really re-emphasize this point. I'm going to just read verse 5. Verse 5 says this, it says, moreover, there's that term again, next to him, the Tekotites made repairs. But underline this next part of the sentence. But the nobles did not support the work of the masters. What is he saying? There are enemies to collaboration. Everybody's not going to like that we are coming together as a family. Everybody's not going to like this idea. I remember when we first came here, October of 2018, we had this theme of, does anybody remember the theme when we first came together, when Victory Church and Connect Church came together? We rallied around this idea of what? Better together. And a lot of people had on the shirts and stood up here in church and said, yeah, but then that next Sunday, they decided to leave. Everybody's not going to like this idea of collaboration. Some people, and here's the thing that I try to get the staff and others to understand. You're not going to get 100% participation on anything. You're not going to get 100% participation. And this is an area where God had to really work with me, because I was spending too much time focusing on the people that were leaving, and I didn't show enough love to the people that stayed. And God had to arrest my heart and really tell me, he says, you're going to have people to leave, but what are you going to do about the ones that stay? Those are the ones that has caught the vision. Those are the ones that want to build. Why are you focusing on the ones that choose to leave? Focus on the ones that decided to stay. And it's with these ones that decide to stay, these are the ones that we can build with. Because this text tells me that you can't build with everyone. You can't. And that's the most difficult part sometimes, because we internalize when people decide to transition or they don't want to catch the vision. And it's a distraction. Because in this text, we see all of these people that had made up their minds that they were going to rebuild the place where God dwelled. And that was in Jerusalem. And so you got to understand that there are enemies to collaboration. But when we collaborate, though, here's the thing. Even though we have enemies, even though it takes family, here's the thing. When we collaborate together, and this is what I want you to see when you read this text. Please ask God to open up your eyes. What you're going to see is, you're going to see people bringing something special with them. What am I saying? That when we decide to collaborate, we're going to bring our gifts, we're going to bring our talents, and we're going to bring our passion and our zeal. Okay? So here's the thing that I want you to see, is they were all serving with different gifts. We see priests, goldsmiths, servants, gatekeepers, religious leaders. We see government officials, everybody building together. Why? Because they brought the best of them. They brought their gifts, they brought their talents, and they brought their zeal to arise and to build. Look at chapter 3, verse number 20. It says this. It says, next to him, there's that phrase again, Baruch, son of Zebai. In the NASB, it says, zeal, zeal, zealously, I can't say that, with zeal, let me say it like that, with zeal repaired another section. And I went back and I searched further up in the text, and I was like, oh, he did finish what he had, the part he started on. But he was so excited about what God was doing. God had so arrested his heart that he says, I'm not finished. I can do some more. And here's the thing. We're going to need people that not only do what they can do, but they say, God, I can do some more. But see, I'm sensing this, and I feel it, and I'm telling you, if we're not willing to get uncomfortable, if you're not willing to do if you only want to do what's required, we're not going to make it. We need people that have a passion and a zeal to bring their gifts and their talents to this church so that we can collaborate as a family, so that we can do what God has called us to do. We can't just sit around and say, okay, here it is. Well, I came to church this Sunday. Well, I served before. You want me to serve again? We having another service after church again? Man, I'm praying right now. And I'm not just praying, I'm putting action to it. I'm really getting myself physically prepared and mentally prepared for the work that it's going to take to move this church from where we are to where God has called us to be. And I need some people that are passionate and have zeal to come alongside of us and do it. But we can't just do enough. We need people who are excited and hungry to come alongside of us. We need people that were willing to do what they might not have been used to doing. Oh, that's the part that I wanted to make sure. Out of all of those people I named, we had priests, we had government officials, we had all these different people from all these different backgrounds, but catch this, none of them probably had a building or construction background. But they were willing to get outside of what they know and try to do some things or do some things that was uncomfortable for them, something that they weren't used to doing. They decided to try it anyway. I really don't like to use myself as an example, but I will on this point. As y'all know, I build houses, I buy vacant lots, and I build houses on them. Can I say this? I don't know what a 2x4 is from a 2x6. I don't know what a joist, well, I know what a joist is now. Joist, what is that? You mean joy to the Lord? But here's the thing. I always had the desire in me to be a builder. So what did I have to do? I I had to go learn, and I had to go ask questions, and I had to get uncomfortable to learn to get outside of my comfort zone. Because if you know anything about me, I've been working in an office. Even when I served in the Navy, I was one of the captain's secretaries. I could type. I could do a 10-key ad machine. I can fax. I can print. Man, I had all that. I have soft hands. But here's the thing. When you work for God, there should be nothing that you're not willing to do. Because if he asks you to do it, he's going to equip you to do it. But for most of us, our first thing is, I don't know how. I can't do that. But the people that rebuilt the walls, they were willing to do things that they may not have been used to doing. And so I really want to reemphasize, what's the mission? Why are we in this sermon series? What are we doing? What we've decided to do as a church, because of where we are, and the fact that we sold the building, we need a new place to call our own. But what I don't want you to get confused, and I don't want you to walk away with, we're not starting another building campaign. This is not a building fund. You know, some of the churches that had building funds for years and ain't built nothing. This is not I'm not trying to prime y'all to do a building campaign. That's not what this is. What I'm asking us to do is to, first of all, let's arise. And what does that mean? Let's get up from where we are, and let's build ourselves. Can you ask God in your prayer time during this 52-day challenge, are you asking God, what more can I do? God, open up my heart and reveal to me, God, why my heart is not broken for the things that break your heart. I want us to build each other. I want us to build ourselves up. If you don't have a prominent prayer life, I want you to start building a prayer life. If you're not studying, I want you to start studying God's word. I want you to arise and to build yourself. Because some of us have gotten stuck in this Christian circle, and we just come to church and we go back home. But if we're going to do anything, if we're going to do a God-sized project, we first of all have to start with ourselves. God, build me before I can build others. And then God, as I build me and I help build others, God, then we can build for you. Because I promise you, if we build ourselves and we build others, we won't be able to seat all of the people that's going to come. Why? Because we've gotten out of this thing of coming to get, and now we're coming to give. Because there's a lot of broken people out here that need the joy and the hope that we have, but we're sitting on it and we're stuck and we're not willing to get uncomfortable. That's how you grow. You meet a need. And as God blesses you to meet needs of others, God is going to meet your needs along the way. And I don't want us to lose focus, but I really want us to understand too, I don't care how, and here it is, people don't know how much you care I mean, people don't care how much you know. People want to know how much you care. Yes, we should spend time in God's word. But if you're just soaking up to soak up, and you're not soaking up to pour out, you're just going to have a bunch of knowledge. And so here's what I want to make sure is that we understand that the mission for Connect Church is to arise and build. What does that mean? That means as you go through the text here, as you see, jump back up to verse number 4, it says, next to, and I'm not going to pronounce that name either, the son of Uriah, the son of Hakaz. Here's the part that I want you to understand. They made repairs. And next to him, it's Meshullam, the son of someone, and the son of someone. The important part that I want you to get is they made repairs. So what do I mean by repairs? Here's the part that I really want us to open up our hearts. The reason some of us can't collaborate and build with others is because we need to repair brokenness in our hearts. We need to repair the church hurt that some of us have experienced from prior churches. Some of us won't serve to the capacity that we can serve because we need to repair the brokenness and the pain and the hurt from our past church. We can't collaborate because we need to repair the unforgiveness that we're still harboring in our hearts. You see, it's important before we go out here trying to build any structures that we need to repair the inside. We need to repair this inner heart, this inner person, beyond the mask of the suits and the jeans and the sweaters and the cars and the houses and all that. I want to get inside. I want to so penetrate your heart. Not me. I want God's word to penetrate your heart. To where you start seeing and you start saying, God, open the eyes of my heart. God, that I can repair so that God, when they ask me to serve beside sister so-and-so over here, I can say gladly I can serve beside sister so-and-so instead of saying, work with her? Oh, we don't vibe. She do her thing, I do my thing. We wave at each other in the church. We wave at guys. Now, guys, I'm gonna tell you, we're not as vocal with ours, but we're harboring some stuff too. There's some repairing that needs to go on. And then when we make repairs, then that's when we can decide to build. Because have you ever tried to build something on a leaky foundation? Or an unstable foundation? That's why we start with repairing our hearts, repairing ourselves. Because we need to decide and declare that we will rebuild in our lives the areas that need to be repaired. And we must understand this about the mission. The mission that God has called us to is more important than my mess. The mission is more important than my mess. Why are you saying that? Remember when I opened up, I told you that these people had been in exile for 70 years. But they came back, and in spite of everything that they had gone through previously, they put all of that aside, and they came together. They collaborated together to build. Why? Because they understood that the mission that God has us on is more important than my mess. Most of us lead from our mess. You can't talk to nobody. Nobody can talk to you. Why? Because you lead with your mess. And if you listen to a person long enough, they'll reveal their mess. But then what we do is when people reveal the mess, we turn the other way. When I tell you that we have to repair and rebuild ourselves, we also have to help repair and build others. And so instead of turning away from that person, why not try to build dialogue, build a relationship with that person so you can share with that person, hey, I used to struggle with that too. When I see guys who are angry, I understand. Because I used to be a very angry person. But I allowed God to do something on the inside of me. And so now when I see guys that are struggling with anger, I try to connect to them so that eventually I can share with them, hey, what are you really angry about? Because what most guys are really angry about is not what they're angry about. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right there. So I hope today that you walk away understanding that we can be a part of something special. We must understand that to arise and build starts with each of us individually. We must take a look into our hearts and begin to repair those areas and build those areas where we are weak. And so I'm not sure how much time I have. Can I give y'all a visual of what I've been saying? All right. Toby, come stand right here. Tanya, come stand right here. Tim, come stand right here. And bring your son. And what's your name? All right, won't you come stand here? Here, slide out some. Slide out some. Slide out some. Yep. Slide out some. All right. Roberto and Maria, won't y'all come up here real quick? Kaz's mom and your granddaughters, won't y'all come? Devin and your family, won't y'all come? Katie and your family. Y'all know who I am. Come on, y'all. Don't make me be to that. Tracy, are you being obstinate? Won't y'all come? Y'all don't. I can't think of everybody's name. If I point at you, just start to coming. Jeff and Beth and Joanne and your sons. Zach. You know who I'm talking about. Mark and Izzy. Won't y'all come? Who else? But Robert and Sharon, won't y'all come? I can't think of your name because you don't you come up here, and you'll bring your family, and then if you just had a child within the last 6 months, I want you up here too. All right? And I want everybody to lock arms. I'm good? All right. I want everybody to lock arms. Joe, what you sitting back there for? Oppers. Won't y'all come? Yes, you, and your mom and Brenda. Won't you come? All right. So now, if you're not up here, don't be sad. I just can't fit everybody up here. Josh, why are you sitting there? Come on up here, Josh. And Mackenzie and Wade, won't y'all come? The Statons, won't y'all come? All right. Hey, Aaron, did you think I was going to forget you since you're standing back there? We can see you. So here's what I want y'all to see. And man, I was struggling with if I was going to do this or not. I hope I had time. But man, this is the image of the 3rd chapter of Nehemiah. Everybody locking arm in arms. Everybody next to everybody. Families next to families. Children next to children. Government officials, elders, priests. I mean, this is a visual of what Nehemiah chapter 3 is. And I want you to get this picture etched in your mind. We're going to have to collaborate just like this. We're going to have to lock arm in arms. We're going to have to put aside our differences. We're going to have to put aside our frailties. We're going to have to put aside all of our religious traditions. And we're going to have to lock arm in arm together to build, to arise and build. Now here's the thing. When you are locked arm in arms with each other, is that Jared and Candace? Hey, y'all, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry, because my eyes are playing tricks on me. But what you see here is different people from all walks of life. And I bet everybody up here has some mess that's going on in your life right now. But if we could lay aside our mess and focus on the mission, there's nothing that we can't do. So can we give God a hand clap of praise as you go back to your seats? Thank you all so much. So I just wanted, I wanted each of us to see a visual